In a kingdom marked by the glory of David, a new king arises, Solomon. Son of the hero who defeated Goliath, Solomon bears the weight of the throne and faces a unique dilemma. When God grants him one wish, he doesn't ask for wealth or power, but for wisdom. Thus, he becomes the wisest king in history. But his wisdom attracts the eyes of the world. The Queen of Sheba, fascinated, crosses deserts in search of answers to life's mysteries, while Solomon builds the temple in Jerusalem, a monument that will be his legacy. Yet what seemed perfect soon reveals its dangers. Solomon is tempted by power and forbidden passions, and the peace he so desired begins to crumble. In the end, he leaves us with a warning. All is vanity. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all. Ecclesiastes 12:13. Imagine the tension in the air. Solomon, still young and inexperienced, takes the throne left by his father, the legendary King David. Israel, a strong nation with a history full of battles and victories, now looked to him for guidance. And in the face of it all, Solomon does something extraordinary. He doesn't ask for power, military victories, or riches. He turns to God and asks for wisdom. This act of humility, putting the needs of the people above his own, is a crucial point in Solomon's life. The Bible describes Solomon's request in touching detail. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? 1 Kings 3:9. God, moved by the sincerity of his request, not only grants wisdom but also promises Solomon wealth, glory, and a long life, so long as he follows divine ways. This moment is fundamental, as it teaches us that God values a heart that seeks wisdom to serve. Solomon, who could have asked for anything, chooses something that makes him an eternal example of how humility and submission to God open doors to unexpected blessings. As the years go by, Solomon becomes known not only in Israel but also in distant kingdoms for his extraordinary wisdom. Kings and rulers from far-off lands send representatives to learn from him and marvel at his discernment. A classic example of this admiration comes with the visit of the Queen of Sheba. She, a wealthy and powerful ruler, heard of Solomon's wisdom and decided to visit him to test his intelligence and see if he was truly all that was said. Imagine the scene. Caravans loaded with treasures and spices, riches from the east, and people from all corners arriving at Solomon's court. And the Queen of Sheba, a shrewd and observant woman, begins to question him. She poses complex questions, trying to test the limits of his wisdom. But Solomon responds to everything with calmness and accuracy. After hearing his answers, the queen is so impressed that she declares, "Blessed be the Lord your God who delighted in you, setting you on the throne of Israel. Because the Lord loved Israel forever, therefore he made you king, to do justice and righteousness." The visit of the Queen of Sheba is more than mere historical curiosity. It symbolizes how divine wisdom transcends cultural and territorial boundaries. Solomon, guided by God, becomes a light to the nations, a reminder that true wisdom is a divine gift that blesses not only the one who possesses it, but also everyone around them. Solomon was not just a wise king. He was also responsible for building one of Israel's greatest symbols of faith, the Temple of Jerusalem. This monumental work was more than just an architectural project. It was the fulfillment of an old desire of his father, David. David had wanted to build a permanent house for the Lord, a place where the Ark of the Covenant could rest and where the people could worship God worthily. However, God told David that this task would be fulfilled by his son. So, Solomon began the temple's construction with deep commitment. He chose the finest materials and mobilized skilled artisans, with every detail carefully planned and executed to make the temple a place worthy of God's presence. The Bible describes this construction in detail, showing how Solomon made a point of offering the very best to God. When the temple was completed, Solomon made one of the Bible's most beautiful and profound prayers, dedicating the temple to God and asking for his protection and mercy over the people. "Now, O God of Israel, let your word come true, which you have spoken to your servant David, my father. But will God indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain you, how much less this temple which I have built." 1 Kings 8:26-27. This moment represents the peak of Solomon's reign. The temple becomes the center of worship and spiritual life in Israel, a place where the people could gather to seek God. It is a symbol of dedication and of how Solomon put all his wisdom and wealth in service to God and his people. Solomon's wisdom was also evident in everyday situations, especially in the famous story of the two mothers disputing custody of a baby. Both women claimed to be the true mother and brought the case before Solomon for judgment. It was a complicated situation with no clear evidence, and any other king might have been lost in debates. But Solomon, with quick thinking and a deep understanding of human nature, proposed a radical solution: to divide the baby in half so each mother would receive a part. The response was immediate. The true mother revealed herself by offering to give up the baby as long as he would live. This act of wisdom led the people to recognize God's presence in Solomon's life. And all Israel heard of the judgment the king had rendered, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. 1 Kings 3:28. The story is a powerful reminder that true wisdom is not only found in great decisions, but also in everyday choices, where a compassionate heart, attentive to the good of others, can reveal the truth. How often in our lives do we face complex situations where discernment is essential? Solomon teaches us that divine wisdom can guide even the most challenging cases. Unfortunately, Solomon's life also serves as a warning. In the later years of his reign, he strayed from God's ways, entangled in political alliances and relationships with foreign women that led him away from his faith. His pursuit of power and alliances with other kingdoms led him to worship other gods, directly opposing the laws and principles God had established for Israel. The Bible describes this fall with sadness. So Solomon did what was evil in the sight of the Lord and did not wholly follow the Lord as David his father had done. 1 Kings 11, verse 6. This choice brought harsh consequences for Solomon and the kingdom of Israel. The kingdom, united under David and flourishing under Solomon, would face division and conflict after Solomon's death. This part of Solomon's life teaches us that true wisdom is not merely a gift to be received, but a journey to be maintained with discipline and faith. Solomon's story is one of highs and lows, of glory and downfall. He began with a humble heart, eager for wisdom, but ended his life distant from God. Yet, his legacy endures through the books of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon, which share the wisdom he gained throughout his life. One of his most famous proverbs teaches us about the importance of trusting in God. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. This is Solomon's greatest lesson. True wisdom is in trusting God above all else and remaining faithful, even when life's temptations and challenges surround us. May we remember Solomon's journey as a call to seek divine wisdom, not only for our lives, but to serve and bless others. If this story resonated with you, share what impacted you most. And remember, true wisdom comes from God and guides us at every step, if we keep our hearts humble and focused on his will.